All right, good afternoon. We're the 2021 Board of Equalization and Review for Union County. We've been appointed by the county commissioners to hear any and all taxpayers with respect to their concerns and complaints regarding the valuation of their property for tax purposes. Property owners appearing before the Board of Equalization and Review have the right to a fair and equitable hearing. The Board of Equalization and Review has been charged with ensuring that the proper legal principles have been applied in a valuation dispute for tax purposes. And here's the format. The clerk calls the case and locates the property. The appellant presents his or her case. The assessor's office offers their defense. Both parties will be given an opportunity to conclude their comments. All questions should be directed to me or the board. The taxpayer will be notified in writing of the board's decision. And by statute, the burden of proof is on the taxpayer to prove that the assessment is erroneous. After the hearing, there will be deliberation and the decision whether we agree that with the county or your assessment. All right, Bell, if we can hear the first case.
Tab number 1, parcel ID number 08081002A, Mr. Richard Goodman.
How you doing, Brad?
I'm doing good. How are y'all
Doing fine.
this afternoon? This property is in the Unionville community. If you'll go 200 north and take a right on New Salem Road, and then you'll take a right on Austin Cheney. That's the road that landfill's on. Take your immediate, or your first right onto Burt Williams. It's here on the end of Burt Williams Road, and this is New Salem.
Okay, thank you.
Now, we didn't like that, did it?
Good afternoon, Mr. Goodman.
Richard Goodman.
Welcome.
With me, I did not hear very well. I only have one ear.
Step up to the microphone if you would.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
thank you. This property, I bought this property in '76. And I have 8 copies of, y'all want one? Said to bring 8 copies. 8 copies. When I bought the property, there was no egress and ingress, and you understand what I'm saying? There was no way to get to it to get out of it. Well, my father-in-law and my wife's grandmother owned the property above it, north of it. And of course, they try to help your grandchildren, and they sold us an easement that David Lee drew up. I had Griffin Caldwell, Frank Griffin's bunch to draw it. And anyhow, I got the right of way for $10.
You did all right.
Yeah, my wife, well, what grandmother's gonna deny her granddaughter, you know,
Thank you.
a place to live. So anyhow, the road going into it, the driveway going into it is not mine. And I've got 30 foot above that road, but I have never used it. Because when I got ready to build, Miss Fowler said, well, just use my driveway. I didn't have to do anything but extend it about 15 foot and then rock it on down to where my house is. So that could be a problem in the future for me if I have to use my right of way. You understand? I got to do some grading and stuff properly, but never have. Well, then this appraisal came up, and my neighbor, Cecil Musselwhite, good man, served on the deacon board with him and everything else. But the first time he got in trouble was when I bought mine from him. And, he built all those chicken houses, and you know how the chicken business, the turkey business is. You know, you get in, then they cut your contract off, and on and off and on and off, and it's pretty hard for a man to pay for a place like that. Well, he had the place debt-free before he built those turkey houses. But at any rate, Cecil was 80 years old, and probably owed $200,000-300,000 on the place, and no way to work, and so he sold it. Or he put it up for sale. He tried to sell it to me, tried to sell it to everybody else around, and nobody really wanted those turkey houses. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you can't get a contract. So I feel real sorry for him because he lived there all his life, and he had no choice. He either had to sell or lose it all. So my neighbor lives over in Locust now. He managed to buy him a little house. He worked something out of it. Well, he got a realtor, and they advertised it nationally. And my next door neighbor's from the Bronx. So that's basically the whole story. Okay, the place sells, and the first time I get any information from this board, from the assessor's office, I helped the surveyors to survey the property. I mean, I helped them find the corners. You understand? Because we had mutual corners. And so they told me, this has been eight months ago, probably, I don't know, 6-8 months ago, they told me that wasn't quite what he thought it was, but it was 22 acres. So when I get this thing and compare me to that, and I guess that's what you want to do because I'm right beside it, I got a price on this one of $449,000 on the 10-acre tract, which he drew off a minute ago. I don't know where it is now. Anyhow, it's up next to the road, got the road frontage, and pretty nice field right there. There's at least 5 or 6 building lots. I wouldn't say 5, 4. At least 4 good building lots right on Burt Williams Road. That would be, I don't know, I can't show you, but that would be up here, and you can see the soybean field. Well, anyhow, in my opinion, if it wasn't for my house and somebody gave me $300,000 and told me to buy his or to buy mine, I'd buy his because I could make a couple $100,000 off of it in a day or two. Okay? So, I just think it's worth more. Mine will never be sold till I die. I hope my children will take it and live in it, live in my house, but I wouldn't guarantee that. But that was the first point I wanted to make about the appraisal. The second point that I wanted to make is this piece of property sold, and I contacted a realtor in my community this morning, and I asked her, is commission generally 6%? And she said, yeah. She said, but open land, sometimes they go up 10% commission on real estate fee. So I calculated it out at 6%, and added about $3,000 for, I don't know what it costs, but I added about $3,000 for survey and a couple $1,000 for lawyer fees, and I came up with $32,000. Now, my question to y'all is that real value or is that goods and services?
We're gonna hear from the county in just a minute. And
Pardon?
we'll hear from the county in just a minute, and we'll find that out.
I didn't understand.
I said, we'll hear from the county in just a minute, and we'll find that out for you.
Okay, all right. Well, anyhow, that's the second thing I'm gonna ask, because probably if you were to take that much off mine, we'd be close to what I figure it's probably worth.
What, that leads to a good question. Hang on a minute here. Let me get back to where I need to be here.
I should have brought my wife with me, but to interpret, but I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Okay, so what do you think? All right, so what do you think it's worth, Mr. Goodman?
Well, it's probably worth a little more than you appraised it at last time, but I don't think it's worth $50,000 more. But then I'm not gonna say somebody wouldn't give it. But it ain't for sale. Excuse my vernacular. It's not for sale, okay? Won't ever be for sale. The only way I'm gonna sell that is for me to get in a bind like Cecil did, and I don't think that's gonna happen, Mr. Adcock.
I hope not.
I just opened an account with you about 6 months, 3 or 4 months ago, so. But the thing that gets
Well,
me
thank you.
about it, and you can explain this to me. Anytime I wanted to, and after I got my house paid for, I went to Ed Little and got me an equity line. He renewed it once or twice, and Sharon Little renewed it again. Okay, so she moves to Pinnacle. And SunTrust, after I've been with them since I quit American Bank, and you probably remember that too. They operate out of Florida, I think now. Anyhow, they called me up and tell me I got 13 acres and I don't qualify for a equity line now. Now, then I say that you're in the banking business. Is the government doing that to us?
That's a choice their bank's making.
Well, I figured it like this. I don't think the bankers learned the lesson in 2007. And I think they're floating a lot of loans but they don't care because they're sending the paper to the federal government.
Yeah.
Nobody lost in 2007 but people that have Wachovia around here that I know of. And they lost a lot.
I tell you what we do.
Y'all study this, and you tell me what you want to do. And
We'll make sure. I want you to hear the county's presentation, then we'll give you a chance to ask other questions. I said we're going to hear from the county, and then we'll give you a chance to ask other questions if you have any. You got that?
no,
Okay.
I'll tell you what. If you cut that thing off, I could understand.
Okay. I'm going to talk. Okay. All right. So we're going to give the county
Okay.
a chance to hear from them, and then we'll give you a chance to ask more questions if you have
Okay.
any.
All right.
Fair
Maybe
enough.
they'll figure out where the other 12 acres went and whether there was a mortgage on it or whether it was all on the 10 acres.
Okay.
And I think due to banking regulations, they probably put it on the 10 acres and gave them the 12 acres, and that's not right. Because that's our money they're spending.
Yeah.
Am I through?
Just temporarily.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do I go home or?
No, we're not done yet.
Okay.
Okay. If you'll refer to the sales comparable report that I've included behind tab 1, you'll see the subject. It's 2937 Burt Williams Road, 13.15 acres. It's got a 1,856 square foot house on it, brick home. And I've compared it to 7, I believe it is, other sales that have occurred in the Unionville community, all very close to the subject. I feel they're all comparable in quality. They range in acreage, but we've adjusted for all that. The acreage is adjusted for, square footage is adjusted for. And as you can see on these 7 comps, it indicates a value of $333,400 for the subject. We have a fair market value currently at $320,200, so we come in slightly under that. So I feel like the comparable sales support the market value that we currently have on the property. I have not seen a reason to adjust it at this time.
All right, Dutch, you got any questions for the county?
Well, and that's, especially comp one's a good comp. I mean, it's right there at it.
And that's the comparable that he's speaking to, and it has been split. It was divided. That's the acreage he's talking about.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the sale was on the 10.29 acres in the house. And
Yeah.
when I'm looking at the boundary line, that blue boundary, that's all of his acreage. I'm trying to figure out that
Correct.
gray line.
That blue line is Mr. Goodman's property, yes, sir.
Because he references something in his write-up about no road frontage, so he's got plenty of road frontage.
I believe.
What's the gray line going through there? Is that the easement or?
I believe it to be.
I just never,
Let me
hadn't seen
see.
anything like that.
Let me
According to
check on
him,
that.
It's all one, yeah.
This road that he uses is not his right of way. So he's drew this in, so he'd have to put his driveway in if it ever came, he sold it, of course, he's not gonna sell the property, but,
Right.
if the owner said, you can't go on my right of way anymore, he'd have to do some grading above his access to
Right.
get to his property.
The gray line you're referencing, I think, is a
It-
issue with the GIS piece of this.
It is. That's what I was going to.
Yeah.
Because his driveway's at the end of the road.
It is. I can't get, it's acting up a little bit today.
Yeah.
But yes, as I zoomed it, there we go.
Yeah.
That gray line, this one here, is
Yeah.
just an issue with GIS.
Okay,
This is the road,
Yeah.
the Burt Williams Road.
Right. he
And
just
this is
goes
the-
off the end of it.
And this is the right-of-way, I believe if I can get this to work right, whenever I go in tight, it wants to not load the entire image. But there's a driveway going into his property.
Right.
So he don't have, this is not his right of way. His right of way is north of that. But you know,
Well, I'd have to let Mr. Goodman speak to that.
yeah,
Um,
well, I'm just, this
Right.
drawing here you provided.
Yes, yeah, the drawing, it looks like this is his right-of-way right here, going to
Yeah.
his property. It looks like that's the driveway that he is using.
It
currently.
is, but not, I guess that's his point. That's not his right of way. It's somebody else's driveway that he's accessing his property.
I guess I misunderstood him. The part that he highlighted looks like it is that part that the grandmother gave the daughter. I'm not sure. He can clarify that.
I just thought that was a road. I mean, it's
Burt Williams is a
road.
road, yes.
I'm just taking he's got road frontage.
Where does the state end in his, is there any way to know? Is it paved or dirt?
It is a gravel
It's
road.
gravel road.
And you can see, well, let's look at it here. Here's the road.
Okay, that helps.
That helps right there.
Right.
And here's the easement that comes off that road.
Oh, okay.
So he's not on a state maintained
So,
road.
right, I kept,
But-
the way it was labeled, he was on Burt Williams Road. Okay.
It does, the label is misleading, I agree. But this appears to be Burt Williams Road where it curves,
Right, okay.
makes 90
Okay.
degree. There's a right-of-way that I think he referenced, and he can clarify that in a minute, that his wife's grandmother gave them.
Right, that Frank Griffin's Alton Law Office did.
Yep, yep. So he has a right-of-way,
Yeah,
and we don't normally adjust for that. Yep.
He's not using his right of way though, you got that? He's on somebody else's property. That's why he drew in this right here, Dutch, so he'd actually have to cut another, I can't reach that far, but he would have to, right here, he would have to cut a driveway in here if they ever had a dispute.
right.
So this is not even though he's using this is not his right of way. His right of way,
Oh, okay.
it's not, it's above that.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
You got any questions?
I think those were the two things I wanted to clarify. I think I'm good.
Mike, you got
otherwise.
anything? Let me, come on back up, Mr. Goodman. I didn't give you a chance for us to ask you questions.
I couldn't fight for everything y'all were saying, but.
That's all right. All right, so Dutch, you got any questions, Mr. Goodman?
No, I'm good. I'm good. The questions I had, the county answered mine. Okay.
Any questions, Mr. Goodman? All right, you have any more questions for us?
No.
Okay.
Not all I can.
All right, so you
I don't
got,
wanna be like, I came in here 15 years ago, a different crowd. And I sat down in here and I listened to a little woman's case that was in Weddington. She had a little small 2 or 3 bedroom house on 9 acres. And they had it appraised at $750,000. And she couldn't get any farm use or anything. I know she had to move. I felt sorry.
well, you're welcome to stay or you're welcome to leave now. We've heard your case. Your choice.
That cut my wife is we found out she's got cancer, and I like to stay around her all. She's got to have surgery too, so y'all pray for her.
Good, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman.
Tab number 2, parcel ID number 08054008 is a no-show. Tab number 3, parcel ID number 08051002L is a no-show. Tab number 4, parcel ID number 08069009B. Mr. Humberto Baez.
Okay, this property is also in the Unionville community. It's situated between Sykes Mill and Morgan Mill. If you'll go up 200 North on Morgan Mill Road, take a left onto Zebulon Williams, and just past the Noel Williams ball field, continue on down the road toward Love Mill, and it's highlighted in blue, and that's the property right there. There you go.
Mr. Baez, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing fine, thank you.
Well, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, thank you for giving me this opportunity to come and appeal the tax assessment. First, I want to apologize to Mr. Holmes. He has done a wonderful job. I have been teaching the past year at the University of Idaho and just got back 2 nights ago. So a lot of this information, especially the first, 17 pages of the document I've submitted, I just didn't have access to, and I think we could have worked out an appropriate arrangement for those issues on deferred repairs to the home. So again, my apologies. He's done a great job. I began my job in state tax assessment, and I understand the challenges in valuation cases, having worked 8 years at the Multi-State Tax Commission in Washington, D.C. I often felt with valuation cases, sometimes we were doing more divination than science, and this may be one of those cases where I'll ask you to divine just a little bit for the reasons I'm going to suggest. So 2 issues with this case. One is deferred maintenance. I'll spend just a few minutes on that. The exhibit I provided has just a lot of pictures on the condition of the house as of January 1st, 2021. And the second issue, and this is the one I think where Mr. Holmes and I have the biggest disagreement, is the issue of functional obsolescence based on superadequacy. So the first picture, I'm just going to touch on a few of these, and I really just want to hit on the highlights. I think the rest are all self-explanatory. So as one other thing I should mention. On the front page, I did put my bar license down. I haven't practiced law in 20 years, but I provided it because as an attorney, I have a duty, even though I've not been sworn, to provide truthful testimony. So anything that I would say that would be a material misrepresentation would be subject to, I'd be subject to bar discipline. So I mention that again because I think that's important to recognize. Again, I've been a teacher for the last 20 years and I'm no longer a practicing attorney, though I've maintained my license.
Now, did you say you had some pictures?
Yeah, it's in the exhibit. Did you not receive the exhibit?
Oh, over there, I got you, okay. That's the one, okay, now I got you.
And again, my apologies for so many pictures.
It's all right.
I was taking these yesterday when I finally woke up after a long trip from Idaho. So first picture on the top left, we have been unable to use our master bathroom, or I'm sorry, the shower in the master bathroom. Since 2016, the floor started to fall in. On the bottom, it was like moving. And we did an assessment, an appraisal at that time. It was about $12,000 to repair, remove the old floor, put the new flooring in, tile, and just replace the first row of tiles. I did not keep that assessment just because assessments are only good for so much amount of time. I think I deleted it 2-3 years ago, so my apologies. You'll see some damage in the garage. The prior owners had dogs that ripped up the foam in to the garage wall. You'll see they also had dogs, various dog damage. You'll see the middle row on page 2, far right. That's where their dog ripped that up. And again, we just haven't had funds to replace it. So page 3, again, you'll see more damage from the dogs. Top picture in the top right is one of our cabinets that's started to tear. Then you see floor damage in the kitchen. That's what those 2 other pictures in the center on page 3. Floorboards outside. We have a few big wraparound porches that are coming out. A lot of these are minor things, but you'll see that they all add up and show the general condition of the house. Again, yeah, I think the rest are all self-explanatory. Page 5, I want to bring that to your attention. The HVAC units that were built were original to the house in 2007. You know, Morris Jenkins have been telling us for the last 3 or 4 years they're going to have to be replaced. Well, that was this past May, which shows, I think demonstrates that as of 1/1/21, the HVAC unit had met its useful life. Replacement cost was $12,000. You'll see then, starting on page 6, the original inspection report from the home in 2014. These things have not been repaired. They are still in the same or worse condition than when it was inspected, except, and I want to give you the exception, and my apologies that I just didn't have a way of deleting them. On page 8, we did repair the underground pipe that was bringing water into the house. Page 10, the damaged roof sheathing has been replaced. And on page 12, the negative slope grading, I put a bunch of dirt. So we no longer have any negative slope grading. So now to the real issue. First, any comments or questions on the deferred maintenance before I move to functional obsolescence?
Let me ask you, so, what year did you buy this house in 14?
Yes.
14, okay.
Yeah, 2014, July 14th, Bastille Day.
Purchase price at that time?
Okay, I was going to get to that momentarily, but I can move to that very quickly. It deals really with the issue of functional obsolescence. So the original owners, let me just move to that. The home was built, we bought it from the original owners. They were the general contractors on the home. When we bought the house, I found a big giant box of all their receipts. So I did the math, added it up. They built it, their cost was just a little bit over $600,000. That's in 2007. That does not include their own imputed costs for their work as GCs, and then also they did a lot of their own work, tile work, et cetera, also not reflected in the servicing, obviously in the materials, but not in the cost. So the reason I mentioned the $600,000, when they put the house on the market, so to your question, let's see, oh yeah, so we purchased it for $395,000, which reflects about a 35% price reduction from their actual recovery, their cost of actually building the house at $600,000. But I should mention, since we're talking about this, they listed the house for sale sometime in 2013 at $600,000. 2 months later, they dropped the price to $500,000. 2 months after that, they dropped it to $450,000. 4 months after that, they dropped it to $415,000. Finally, we purchased it 9 months after that for $395,000. So again, showing, again, what we briefly mentioned, the functional obsolescence.
So you bought the house, you had a home inspection done,
Yes,
and you bought the house, I guess, as is, based on the findings of the home inspection?
that's correct. It was a short sale. They could not sell it for the $600,000 they put into it.
Okay,
They had 2 mortgages, right? The first and second mortgage.
okay. Continue on.
All right, sure. So functional obsolescence, and this is, I think, the real issue here, where we have a genuine dispute with the department. So 3 homes, and I'm defining a neighborhood as those homes on Zebulon Williams Road, because that's where the ballpark is. And a lot of my argument is going to be based on being within a half-mile radius of the ballpark. So 3 houses within that meet that criteria. 1, you've got a house on Zebulon Williams at Morgan Mill, 4,600 square feet, owned by Mr. Griffin. My neighbors, 3340 Zeb Williams at 4,621 square feet, Ron and Kathy Williams, and then our home at 4145 square feet. So most homes in the local area, again, off Zebulon Williams Road, are under 3,000 square feet, many of them closer to 2,000 square feet. The two other homes, over 4,000 square feet, are owned by the people who built them. And I think that becomes important because that means those houses have not been subject to market conditions of purchase and sale. So I'll tell you a little bit about the two homes. Ron and Kathy Williams, they live on family property. Zebulon Williams owned about 80 acres. He subdivided, well, after his death, the property was subdivided amongst his children, and that's why Ron and Kathy built their home where they did. It is family property. It's almost sacred to them. In fact, the land we own was the first bit of that original 80 acres that was not purchased by one of the Williamses' grandchildren, anyway. So the other one, Mr. Griffin, and they're not moving. The daughter's already indicated she's staying because it's family property. Second, Mr. Griffin, my wife went to talk to him a couple weeks ago. He's a retired police officer, and the reason he built his home there was because of the crime stats. Specifically, he said crime was non-existent off of Zebulon Williams Road, and that was why he built his large house on that property. Don't know when he will sell his home. So my home is, again, the only one that has actually been subject to market conditions. Again, we bought it as a short sale. I've already mentioned all that. 35% reduction. All right, neighborhood conditions. And I think this is what goes to the functional obsolescence for this size house in this neighborhood. We are less than half a mile as the crow flies from Noah Williams Park. Most of you who've been there, maybe all of you have been there for a child or grandchild or a neighbor. God bless you, gone for the neighbor. When they have night games, the tall lights there in the park, we get all that ambient light in our front yard. Also, anytime there's a home run or you have the soccer goal, there is the roar of the crowd that we easily hear on our property. We live on a private driveway, which you can see up there. It's about 1/3 of a mile to Zebulon Williams. We share that with 5 other families. At the head of that driveway, there's a manufactured home. Good friends, good neighbors, salt-of-the-earth people. I only mention the manufactured home because when we first went to look at the property, we met our realtor on Zebulon Williams. She saw that house and said, "Do you really want to go look at the house?" She was coming from Charlotte, but in her mind, she dealt with a certain clientele, and there's a certain prejudice with people who are buying homes in a certain price point. So that's the only reason I mentioned that. It was not an issue for us. We said, sure, we'd like to look at the home. We're here. Our next door neighbor, so if you just kind of south of us there, also a manufactured home. And again, good people, friends. We are glad to be their neighbors, but there are many, as you start buying more expensive houses, people who do not share the same values that my wife and I do. Again, making it a little bit harder to sell within that price point. At least the price point suggested by the tax department. Let's see, finally, county's value is $681,700. I pulled my average from Zillow, which is not a good average. I'm not even suggesting that the board go with that average. What I am asking is that I suspect the truth is somewhere in between, somewhere between what the county suggested, somewhere between the average of Zillow as of 1/1/21. I ask you to use your discretion based on your knowledge of property values, understanding the argument here, recognizing, again, this is a little bit of divination. It really does require some discretion. The last page that I put in my appeal or the exhibit, I've highlighted authorities that have the obligation of assigning a value to land sensibly are given discretion to apply the method that most accurately captures the true value. And that's really what I'm asking for, is sort of a common sense approach for this property. And with that, unless there are any other questions right now,
Dutch, you have any questions for Mr. Byers?
I think, well, when you were mentioning your neighbors there, not the neighbors, but the Williams family and the other one, is their acreage similar to yours?
So all the acres, when there was the land fight back in the 60s, the children broke up, they tried to break everything up into about 8 to 10 acres.
So theirs is similar in size?
Well, so they bought one of their family members' lots, so one next to them, so they actually have a double portion.
Right.
So they, I think they probably have closer to 16 to 20 acres. And I think he owns 3 continuous lots, all of that family land, if I
Yeah,
recall.
just kind of wanted to make sure they just weren't sitting on like 1 acre versus you sitting on about 8.
Oh, no, I
Yeah, okay.
think they own, my apologies, I didn't look that up, but
At least about the same amount as you.
at least twice as much, if not 3 times
Right,
as
okay.
much of land.
Yeah. I think that's the only question I had for him.
Gentlemen?
Did you hear, Mike? It's,
I'll zoom out just a
Back to the right.
back to the right, yeah, if you,
Yeah, if you go, follow the road just straight out, you'll get to the park, just straight to the right.
and I wouldn't dare be condescending, Mr. Bass, but of course, that park's been there longer than you have. So I'm assuming you knew that park was there when you bought the property.
Absolutely, we did not mind.
Um,
And that's not my
You
argument.
see it, Mike? Okay,
Yeah, I think my argument is really that other people in that price point wouldn't mind.
okay,
Reducing
yeah.
that.
Got any questions, other questions, Mike? All right, let's hear from the county. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Mr. Bass.
Yes, sir.
We'll give you a chance to respond after the county gets complete.
Well, I'll start with what y'all ended on with the park. We don't typically adjust for being in close proximity to parks or schools or any other recreational areas. We have not seen a trend of values being influenced by them. Case in point, as Randy spoke to, the gentleman bought this knowing it was next to the park. So with that, we did not make an adjustment. That is not an adjustment we would make. We just haven't seen that reflected in the market. And just really don't get any complaints to that effect. So the second item I'll address is the photos that he sent in. I got those today, as you did, so I'm just now seeing them. I do think some of them should be taken into consideration and do affect the value of the property. Others, I feel like, as any home inspection, do not affect and are typical for a home of that age. So I'm not opposed to some adjustment due to the shower that's unusable and needs to be fixed. Now, thirdly, and the main point of contention seems to be, as he put it, the functional obsolescence due to the size of his property compared to his neighbors. I've put in 2 maps for y'all to reference. If you can refer to those behind that tab, it's a map of a 1 mile radius and a 2 mile radius of the subject.
Is that this?
No, sir. It's going to be, I sent them to Belma.
Brad,
Yes.
do me a favor.
Yes.
On the pictometry screen,
Yes.
switch the dates to the most recent,
All right.
Yeah, sure.
latest.
I'll do
There
that.
you go.
There you go. I can.
Now, what's your point, Brad?
Okay, so the gentleman
Okay.
makes mention that he just feels like his house is overbuilt for the community, for the area. So I had our GIS guy pull me a radius of 1 mile and 2 miles. I had him pull 3,800 square foot homes and larger. There were 7 or 8 within 1 mile of the gentleman, of the subject, and I believe there were 18 within 2 miles of the gentleman that were 3,800 square foot or larger. I felt that was a significant amount for a rural area. We're not talking about a homogeneous subdivision. We're talking about a rural neighborhood, and I felt like that was a considerable amount. So I do not feel like in any way is his home overbuilt for the area at all. So fourthly, to that size home in that area with other homes, i.e. the manufactured home at the entrance of the drive, as it didn't impact his influence to purchase, it didn't influence his purchase of this property. Most people that want to live in that area, in a rural area, that's what you are living. It's not a subdivision with restrictions. You are next to everything. So that is typical for that area, and that's built into the market. That's my point. What I'm getting to is those factors are built into the sales within that area. So I'll go to my sales. If you'll look at the comparable sales report, it indicates a value of 653.1, and we're at 681.7, and that's what I propose is the 653.1. That is a staff rec value, so that's coming down some. Now I have 4 comparables, all within Fairview community. One is in New Salem, trying to get some of the larger homes comparable to his. I feel like they're all very comparable to the subject property. And so I feel like the 653.1 is a fair market value of the property.
Okay. Mike, any questions for Brad?
You said you'd be willing to look at
Yeah.
the property.
Yeah, I would be willing to look at the photos and come up with some value to take off. I think the gentleman had an estimate at one time for 12 grand. You know, I'm not opposed to that at all.
That was just for the bathroom, though.
It was just for that shower,
Yeah.
which seems a little excessive for a shower, but I don't, you know, I'm not a,
No,
Yeah.
if it's got, problems underneath. no.
yeah, could be if the subfloors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Dutch, you got a question for Brad?
My biggest thing, just looking through what he provided, is just quality. I mean, and I don't know if we table it and let you take a look at it,
well, I
or-
submitted some photos. If
Okay.
Belma included those, I sent those to Belma as well, along with the maps
Yeah.
to include.
Okay.
And are there photos in there of the property? Okay. I have them here. These are photos that I found online of the property that speaks to the quality of the interior.
So I s based on what you've seen, you feel
Based on what I've
like
seen, I feel like the quality of the home is
good.
it's good.
It's where it needs to be.
It's where it needs to be, yes, sir. Now, does it have some damage that needs to be repaired according to the photos? No doubt.
That was my only question. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You got anything else, man? Thank you, Brad.
You're welcome.
Mr. Byers, you got anything else, brother?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, member.
Where do you teach in Idaho?
I am teaching federal income tax, and I'm teaching wills and trusts and estates. It's a nice state. Almost got killed by a moose a few months ago, but other than the moose, it's been a nice location. A little bit different than our southern climb. So I just want to address 4 points. And again, I want to thank Mr. Helms. I think he's doing a good job in representing the county well. So 1, he said, typically we don't adjust for parks because we purchased it. Well, we did purchase it at a 35% discount. That's the part of the point that I'm making. They built the house for $600, probably more when you include the other cost. So I did buy it at a significant discount. I was willing to buy it for $400. That includes a 35% discount, probably closer to a 40% discount given the conditions around the property. He does look at the properties within a mile or two. My whole argument is that you got to look within half a mile. That's where the ballpark is. That's where I think the main issue is the roar, the lights. And I haven't been out a whole mile or some of these other properties, but I suspect they probably don't get much, or if any of these other conditions. Again, I don't know. That's speculation. I would actually have to go on a game night and see how much I could see and hear. Third, he said it did not influence my decision to purchase in the area. Again, the 35% discount that I did buy it at. And then finally, the comps, and I think this is a big issue. The comps he's looking at are, one of them is almost 8 miles away. So if I understand the county's position is that rural is rural. My suggestion is that it's local. You got to look at local conditions. Under the county's rationale, if you picked a house right next to the dump, that would also not be an issue. Again, seems to defy logic and common sense that if you built a house next to a dump or railroad tracks, that there wouldn't be a significant discount. So anyway, again, And I recognize the challenge the county has in trying to find an adequate true value. He's done the best job he can because there's just not anything comparable in the local area. So, gentlemen, unless you have other questions?
We're good. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that.
Appreciate it.
If I may,
Please. You've been
There-
very quiet today.
yeah, I have. It's been a challenge for me. Yeah. Just maybe a misunderstanding with the taxpayer is, while we have not discounted for the park or the schools, that's what Brad very specifically addressed, because those are the ones that tend to have the light and the noise. We have made adjustments. We have reached out in the marketplace and found some places where it's definitely reflected in the market. The people that adjoin 12 Mile Creek sewer treatment plant, yeah, we found that if you bought it, there is a discount. They are selling for less than the ones on the other side of the street. The second place that specifically that was addressed is the dump. We had properties that adjoin the dead animal portion of that, and they do sell for less. We have recognized that. So it's just a fine point. We do recognize that there are economic obsolescence to some property. We just have never been able to see it for a sports facility.
What's the,
I was only addressing the schools and parks.
what's the current or immediate past tax value of his home?
1 second.
400 even, it appears.
400 even?
Previous years, yes, not this year.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I'm asking. Until this year.
Until this year, correct.
Mhm. All right. Velma?
Parcel, tab number 5, parcel ID number 050960001A. Ms. Carol Noriega Whiteside.
This parcel is located in Crow Creek Acres, which is off of Davis Road,
Mm-hmm.
right around, I think Jars is south. Yeah, Jars is right here, just northeast of Jars. If you'll permit me, I found a correction in my sales report that would result in about a $35,000 or $40,000 reduction, which would get us to the homeowner's opinion of value, $195,500. So I am changing my opinion of value to the homeowner's opinion of value.
And that's case number 6?
That's number 5.
Okay.
And if you'd like to ask her if she agrees with that number, that's fine, but we've spoken and
Ms. Whiteside, are you good with that? Yes, sir. Okay, that's easy then.
Yeah.
Velma?
Tab number 6, parcel ID number 051320069. It's a no-show. And we are ready to deliberate.
Okay.
Tab number 1, parcel ID number 080810002A.
Which case is that?
Number 1?
Oh, we're back. Okay, we're back. Let's start again. Okay, I got it.
Yes.
Velma, you got ahead of me.
Sorry.
All right.
I mean, I didn't see a whole lot there. I mean, the access is there. I mean, granted, he's using somebody else's driveway, but he's got access. I thought the comps were good too. I mean, especially the first one.
Does this gentleman qualify for a
I don't know.
rent his property?
Yeah, do we know if that was covered with him, the elderly exemption, or anything? I don't know if he qualifies.
Is it currently elderly exempt? Okay.
Good question.
Sorry, I never remember to grab that door.
Does it qualify for,
I don't know if he had enough acreage there for that.
I thought it was 10.
This one, the first one, so,
10.
That's the only computer I can use, right?
yeah.
But
Let me go check.
Mhm.
You want to pull up the parcel number for me, Phil?
Oh, sure, number one?
Yeah, can you come over and get it for me? I'll be right back.
There's enough acreage there that he potentially could, but he's gotta have it in production.
right.
And if it's not in production, then he wouldn't qualify.
So if somebody is working his land,
well, yeah, somebody was cut hay off of it.
couldn't
somebody-
have-
somebody was-
then it would qualify, right? Because he has income.
But that, right, and that would reduce his tax liability if
Yeah.
it was in the PUV program, but it doesn't affect the market value. Market value is market value.
But
Yeah.
so can
We're
can
gonna,
Brad check on that?
they're gonna put, Phil, I think you need to go to.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where she was.
Go to Wedge. Just go to the top of the webpage.
Here.
Yeah, all the way up to the very top. Pay my tax bill.
I noticed that he wrote this thing here.
Yeah, I never go this path.
You gonna pay your taxes?
No, so he won't be enough.
Somebody else does, honestly.
Yeah, put the parcel number there.
Yeah, I mean, you could happily put that,
Have people for that.
Yeah, Ben, how do you, good question Mike asked, okay, so, just like, all right, use my mother's example, she has 12 acres.
Yes.
Okay. I could easily let somebody mow 8 of that acres for hay and have her, but does it need to be 10, or does this need to be, what's the combo there? Because so if she's got 12 acres, and we're potentially working 8 of it, do we need to work 8 or we have to work 10 to qualify for the farm exemption?
You wanna answer that question?
10.
Yeah, you've gotta work 10.
Has to work 10.
Yeah, 10 have to be in production.
Now, if you had 15 and you were working 10, some of it could be wasteland in addition to the 10, or buffer.
Right, or you could have woods on
Yeah.
part of it, or part of it
If
could be
it's larger,
gullied.
yeah.
Right,
But
you
the
gotta
10
have 10.
But it's
has
gotta
to
be a
in
minimum of
production.
10.
A
Yes.
minimum of 10 acres in production. I mean, unless you're going off into a hort is less. But then you've
So he
got to
will
have
qualify.
blueberries or, something different.
This site is not showing that our data is not showing that he is in the elderly program.
No,
either.
it is not.
So can y'all check on that for
We
me?
can have somebody reach out to him.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll be more than,
I think that'd be good.
again, it's
Don't know.
income based, so.
Correct. I think it's lower, than it's like 31, I saw the other day, 31 and change,
5, I believe,
something like that.
yes.
Yep, I don't see anything on
Okay.
here.
Well, I think we're ready to rule on what we know today, and so do I hear a motion that we accept the county's value of this property?
Yeah, so moved.
Got a first and second, all in favor say aye. Aye, thank you.
I'm sorry, who motion?
I did.
Mike motions.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I motion.
he motioned, Mike second.
Second.
You gotta listen to me better, Belma.
Yeah, what was the motion? I'm
What
sorry.
was the motion again?
Motion to accept the county's value,
No change.
Okay, so
but no change, however, they're gonna check on the elderly exemption.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you, sorry about that.
No, sir.
Tab, let's see. Oh, we do the motion.
I might lose a customer over it,
Okay.
sounds like.
Tab number 2 and 3 were no shows.
Do I hear a motion we accept the county's evaluation of the property?
I make a motion, the current values remain, the current county values remain.
We got a motion from Dutch, second from Mike. All in favor say aye. Aye, thank you.
Tab number 4, parcel ID number 080690009B.
So we're at 653. Correct?
Yeah.
And then I think we all agree there needs to be some reduction. I think even Brad mentioned that from that number. Right.
I agree with that.
Well, here's my early math, okay?
Yeah, I got a number written down too almost.
I got 3.
Yeah,
5% reduction would be, the value would be 620, 400. 7.5% percent reduction would be 605, 400, and a 10% would be 587, 800.
yeah, you're real close to me. I had something between 600 and 625. Just, and if I remember correctly, Brad took those pictures and he's been out to the property, correct?
My understanding was those were found online.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know that Brad has been to the property, and I'm fairly sure he's not been interior to the property.
Right, okay. So those were recent online photos is what we're thinking.
I couldn't speak to the timeliness of
Right,
them.
okay.
I kind of like, I can't make a motion, I kind of like 605, 400. That's a,
Based on everything I'm seeing, I'd be fine with that. I
do
mean,
you have to make a motion on that?
yeah. I'll make a motion, we reduce the value, I'm just gonna round it off to $605,000.
I hear a second, got a second, all in favor say aye. Aye, thank you. Mr. Bias, thank you, pleasure. If you ever come to this board again, bring potatoes. We want the real thing, we're buying at Food Line right now.
I'll be all right when I come back.
I was just out there last week.
Okay, tab number 5, parcel ID number 05096001A.
I think she's,
She has it.
what was the new calculation based on,
He reduced it to her opinion of
she
value.
reduced it?
Yeah, reduce it to her opinion.
So we have to vote to
Accept that.
Yeah, but what's that figure?
195.
500?
I'm
sorry. 195, 500?
okay,
I make a motion, we accept the value of 195,500 for tab 5.
here a second. Second by Mike, all in favor, say aye. Aye,
Aye.
okay.
Tab number 6, parcel ID number 05132069 is a no-show.
Do I hear a motion we accept the county's evaluation?
So move.
Got a motion by Dutch, second by Mike. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Tabs number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 are accepted staff recommendations.
Do I hear a motion we accept the staff's recommendations on tabs number 7 through 13?
13.
Got a motion by Mike,
Second.
second by Dutch. All in favor, say aye. Aye,
Aye.
okay.
Thank you.
And there's, is there?
And then we have informal staff recommendations. Number 14.
Okay, do I hear a motion that we accept the informal staff's recommendation, recognizing that they can come back before us if there's a disagreement?
So moved.
First and second, Dutch first, Mike second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay,
We ready to adjourn?
do I hear a motion we adjourn?
Just a quick update.
Van, we adjourn, sorry.
As of today, earlier today, we have 12 appeals left to work at the informal level. We have 120 outstanding before the board, and then that's it. So, until personal property appeals come in. So we've made good progress, and I think we're in a good spot from a appeal perspective.
So we'll be done with Christmas?
Maybe.
No, we're actually looking at probably the first week of September.
Good.
For real estate, personal property appeals will come in between then and October.
That won't be as often that we
No.
meet, I wouldn't
No.
think. And then we're meeting Monday or not,
Yeah, what's our schedule next
because I'm not here Monday.
Monday, and then the following Monday. And
So
then we're gonna,
just Monday next week?
yes.
And how about Mark and Ray?
I'm sorry?
How about Ray? Is Ray gonna be here and Mark gonna be here? Have you heard?
Yeah,
I haven't heard from them, no.
Dutch isn't gonna be here.
Just you guys.
I won't be here the next 2 Mondays.
So we're here Monday, this coming Monday.
This coming Monday, yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
and then the following Monday.
the next two Mondays,
Yeah.
the 26th and the 2nd.
Mhm.
And then we have a little bit of a break until the 23rd.
Because I'm gone both of them.
You won't be here Monday, this coming Monday?
Uh-oh,
So we got.
Then
you
we may
won't be
not have a
here.
I
quorum.
won't
So
be
then
here
we're
the
not
next
gonna-
2 Mondays.
that's commercial. That's, who did we put? Boggs.
Box.
So if Ray
Box.
and Mark can't make it, we got a problem.
Yeah, we do.
That's Boggs
Okay.
on the 2nd.
We need to follow up with them, Belma, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
After that first week in August, I'm back for the most part.
Okay,
All my stuff came at once.
Now you can make your, now you can make your motion to adjourn.
can we adjourn?
We gonna adjourn, thank you.
Yeah.
You want me to give a shot?
Yeah.
Okay.
So who motioned for
You'll
adjourn?
be here.
So
Monday
moved.
week.
I did.
You'll be here Monday week. It's not government.
Maybe.
Okay, I didn't get who adjourned.
I did.
Dutch did,
Dutch and
Mike
Mike.
seconded it, and I thirded it.
Yeah. So you may have a quorum for the Boggs thing. For the-
No, that's just coming.